Today I want to talk about a very important, I believe, an economic subject issue, and this is about the debts, the international debts that the developing countries have the obligation to repay back to, especially the developing or developed countries, like I would say United States, some major countries like in EU, and the most importantly to China. But this will not really take place within this year. We can already see that all the developing countries have a major burden to repay back their loans to these countries. So what will happen and how this is going to affect the global recovery and what might be done now, without further any delay, we are going to discuss all these things. If you look at, let's say, the loans that especially developing countries such as Niger, the Republic of Congo, Kyrgyzstan, Laos, Cambodia, Maldives, and Djibouti that they have, the loans against to China, it's really high compared to their GDP. To some extent, it is even higher than 25% of their GDP, especially for Kyrgyzstan, which I quite know well. Now, that creates a problem because the country starts asking China and the others loan providers to either to delay or postpone, let's say, their payment schedule, or they want them to write off. To write off means, in that regard, just forget it. You are just going to give me as a, as a help, as a aid, whatever it might be. Now that creates a big problem, not only to developing countries, but also to developed countries in that regard, because they have also their obligations to their taxpayers. Now let's look at, very importantly, I find it also interesting, not the United States in that regard, but China. China is the biggest and the most important country in that regard because they have already given a loan of, let's say, $1.5 trillion in that regard, officially, including some other things. And they have invested and they have done other things, And now there are some payments that needs to be or required to be done now, but China is asked to either postpone the payments or to write off the debts that's supposed to be paid to China. Now, China has two things to do like others. Either they will accept or somehow ease the payment schedule, or they are going to agree about write-off, and as a favor, this they will try to do something else for future. Now, it is not easy also for China. Yes, indeed, one of the most important and strong country in the world is China in terms of US dollar special reserves. But we should also not forget that money is not something that you can spend forever. The loans that they have is already 45 to between 50% of their GDP. Chinese GDP is around $3.5 trillion per year, and 1.5, let's say, is what they have. So it means that if they are not going to receive their money back on time, they might be affected. They are like a bank also. Everybody is like, we have to think like, consider as a small bank, You give money, you agree with the payment schedule, and in accordance with this, you are putting your own projects forward. You are going to get money and you are going to spend it for something else. It means China also relies on the payments. Now, since it's not coming back on time, and it will not because of this coronavirus thing, it will be hard also for China to accept all these terms and conditions coming from especially the leaders of these developing countries. So what might be done at that moment, we don't know. But what we are thinking is this. The World Bank, IMF, and I believe also China or the Asian Infrastructure Bank leaders, they should come together, because these are the vital financial institutions that world relies on heavily. And those institution leaders or the central banks of the G7 or 8, let's say, should come together, and those countries should decide, or G20 if necessary, should decide what kind of a roadmap it should be applied. So how this might happen, to some extent, to some countries, some loans might be write-off, which means it will be raised. And for some of them, it will be just postponed to further, like 22 started with 22 or something like that. If not done, there will be a great risk before the global economic recovery. We still believe that there is likelihood, a great likelihood, that a vaccination will be figured out by before the end of 2020. And once it is done, it will take a couple of years for vaccination to be completed globally. But the first year is important because most of the risk groups, including the major, or at least some major part of the, I would say, the business, will be vaccinated, so they will start turning. And that's why once it is done, before done, there should be a roadmap. If not, it will be a lot of defaults and economic crisis. And economic crisis means something that you cannot foresee might happen in those countries in terms of democracy, administration change, nationalism might increase, thus a lot of things might happen. Therefore, it will not be idle for developed countries to be caught on the wrong foot in that regard. Therefore, I am expecting within this year, either September, October, November, these major central banks or institutions, financial institutions, global institutions, will be meeting, and they will decide how they are going to approach to those countries who has or which has financial problems ahead, especially to China, to US, to IMF, to World Bank, and all others. If not be done, it will be a great economic risks for all these countries, including the developed countries. But I strongly believe that there will be a mutual understanding between all these institutions and countries. If you like the video, there's a like button underneath the screen. Please press on it, and there's a bell. Please press on the bell, and you'll subscribe yourself to our channel so you can hear the first from us. Thank you for watching, and have a great day. Bye.